moving on chronologically to 1976, we have Assault on Precinct 13. So I know very little about this one, actually. I think it's some kind of like urban, gritty kind of like, cop thriller, I'm assuming. Like, I think people get kind of, what was it? Someone told me that Ghosts of Mars, which I have seen, is kind of a loose remake of Assault on Precinct 13. So I'm assuming a bunch of characters get together in one space and they have to defend it or something like that. I mean, let's have a look on the back. Isolated and cut off from the city inside a soon-to-be-closed LA police station, a group of police officers and convicts must join forces to defend themselves against the gang called Street Thunder, who have taken a blood oath to kill someone trapped inside the precinct. So this sounds like quite a bit of fun, actually. So, yeah. Oh, did I sleep on the desk? Alright, it is 2:31 a.m. Yeah, how does it take 2.5 hours to watch a 90-minute movie? Well, I was falling asleep, and so I kept rewinding back. I went on my phone for a bit to kind of wake myself up, and so I eventually got through the movie, which is no reflection on the movie whatsoever. I thought this was a really, really good film. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I would say, oddly, I think most people would probably say that they enjoy the second half of this film, Assault on Precinct 13, where all the action happens. But I think my favorite part was the first half of the film, the setup. I enjoyed probably more than the payoff. The payoff was really good, but I loved the setup of this story. We have this police officer called Bishop who's out on his first night, I believe, which doesn't seem to make too much sense because he seems like he's in his 30s. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but they keep talking about how, like, oh, it's the first night out or something. Regardless, he has been tasked with going to, I think it's like Sector 9, District 13? Oh, no, Precinct. So it's like District 9, Precinct 13, something like that. It's not Precinct 13, no, it's Precinct 9, District 13, I think. So it doesn't even quite make sense with the title. But regardless, Bishop gets tasked with going to this rundown police station, which is in a period of transition, actually. It's no longer really an actual functioning police station. The next morning, they're turning off the electricity and everything. He's just there to kind of answer the phones throughout the night, nothing too demanding. Only all these events happen in the first half of the film, in which a bunch of characters all end up at the police station, and the street gang, Street Thunder, I believe they're called, yes, they kind of surround them, basically, and there is an assault on Precinct 13. So what I loved was the setup, where we have these different characters. We have a couple of inmates, prisoners, who are being transferred to another prison in a prison bus, and one of the prisoners is very sick, so they stop at the police station in question to kind of stay for a little while and call a doctor. And so that's kind of adding the prisoner element to the police station. But the whole reason that the gang end up at that particular police station is there's a father and his daughter who are out driving, and it seemed like there was a really interesting backstory between them and what they were about to do, because it seemed like he was going to ask someone to come and live with him, but he's trying to get his daughter to kind of ask the woman herself to kind of manipulate her a little bit. I was intrigued by the storyline because I thought the guy who played the father was a really interesting actor. And there's a beat when they're driving past the police and he kind of looks at them, and it just suggests something that made me really intrigued. What's going on with this character? And the young girl was sweet, and so I was intrigued to see where their storyline was going to go, and it gets really I don't think it's spoiling much to say that his daughter gets killed by the street gang. And it's brutal. Like, they actually set a squib off on this young girl. The blood. It's shocking stuff, and the way they did it with the ice cream truck was just, that really hit me. And I thought that the father's reaction was so realistic. He's always just stunned, and he goes after the gang. He kills the guy who killed his daughter, which I was really satisfied about. I was like, fucking kill that guy. Because it was there was no need for it whatsoever. In fact, we set up at the beginning of the film, this gang, and they're doing like a blood pact together. And the fact that they were like all like different races and stuff, very diverse, I actually thought that we were going to get a sympathetic view at this street gang. I thought it was going to be like, look, here's these different people from all different walks of life, and why they've come together to form like literally a blood pact with each other. But after that, they just turn into like complete like personification of evil. Just want to kill anyone who's in their way. That there's no kind of no shades of grey with these guys. No, there's no complexity. Just kill us, and people to be feared. It's a simple movie, really. The girl gets killed. The father goes down. He kills the guy who killed his daughter, but then he gets chased into the police station, and he doesn't say anything else for the rest of the movie. He's just in shock. And I thought that was really realistic, and I really appreciated that little nuance in the film, because they so very easily could have had him go like, oh god, my daughter, oh my god, and just been like one of those over-the-top characters. But he really just, the fact that he said nothing then for the rest of the film really resonated with me. I think it made the situation a bit more believable, I suppose. I don't know, I just thought that character was really well done, even if I wish we'd got more of his backstory, but I don't mind that we didn't. We have a woman in the police station who becomes kind of a central figure as the assault takes place, as the siege takes place. I thought she was a good actor, and I liked her character. She was very strong and played off very well with Wilson. Napoleon Wilson, one of the prisoners, who is a very charismatic person indeed, and he was the highlight of the film. Very, again, charismatic, entertaining to watch, and I loved how his character really projected a sense of coolness, to the point where, yeah, he's a prisoner, yeah, he's kind of a bad guy, but you kind of like him anyway, and he has a way with people. And I loved his witticisms, and the whole running gag about his name, Napoleon Wilson, that never really gets resolved or wrapped up at the end. And just really clever, funny writing with that character. Probably the highlight of the film, I think. I really liked, is it Austin Stoker, who plays the lead character, Bishop. Yes, he was really good. I liked him, and he showed like kind of the sense of compassion and rightness that I think a police officer should embody, and so I think he made for a great moral center and compass to the film. And it's just a really entertaining kind of small scale, siege, assault movie, where you got these characters stuck in one location, and you got guys all outside. I loved how one cop gets killed on the outside the police station, and then the gang moves in, and the people inside the police station are shooting them out of the windows and stuff, and it all gets crazy, and then it quiets down, and they look outside and they realize all the bodies are gone. Like, they've cleaned up everything, and so that's another thing that John Carpenter did really well, is he wrote into the film another sense of believability as to why all this ruckus is going on. There's people shooting and stuff, and they're attacking this police station, and none of the police are doing anything about it. And it's and you get cutaways to this other duo of police who are driving around, and they're kind of on patrol, and they're requesting helicopters to kind of see what's going on. There's like a power outage and stuff, but the powers that be say, nope, all the helicopters are already, you'll get one when you get one, basically. And the street gang are using silencers as well, so that isn't arousing too much suspicion. There has been reports of like gunfire or firecrackers. The locals aren't too sure. The surrounding area is pretty desolate. There's not many people living in that neighborhood either. So it really sets up this idea that, they're stuck there and there's nothing they can really do and no one's going to really hear it. And at one point when the police do turn up, all the bodies have been taken away. So the street gang really becomes an ominous and threatening and silent but deadly presence, which I thought was really effective. This, to me, really shows you how good of a filmmaker John Carpenter is, because he takes a very simple story here, which is small stakes, and ultimately the reason I don't love it is because of that, But I think what really works is the sense of build-up and tension, and kind of almost even at this point a mastery of putting together a visual story in that sense. I think he really just has an eye for making a really good film, I think, and this is where it shows. With Dark Star, there were some good moments there visually, where the camera was moving, things like that, the placement of things, and the way the whole film was put together, but it still felt very, I won't say amateurish, because that is not the case, but Dark Star felt like what it was, which is a first film and a low-budget film. This felt like a proper movie. And it felt like a proper movie that was executed very, very well. And there was an emphasis on character, and the writing was really, really good. And the acting, for the most part, was really good too, which only helps things. And then his score, I loved his score, which, I'm not musically inclined, but from, my very, very recent memory, it felt like it was all kind of calling back to the same kind of theme. But I think the main theme was really good, and I just love his style of music. I think it suits his films really well. And from what I remember from reading interviews, I think John Carpenter scores his films mostly out of necessity, I think. Not like, I want to do it because only I can do it the way I want it to be done. More just like, well, someone needs to do it, I might be wrong on that, and maybe I can look into that as we go through this. But I really, really enjoyed this film. I think it's really, really good. It's definitely one I'd watch again. And this is the Shout Factory Blu-ray. I know that there has been a re-release from like a new restoration that came out a couple of years ago in the UK at least, and I meant to pick up the limited edition set, but it went out of print, and so I got this Shout Factory version for now, which I think came out a few years ago maybe. It doesn't really seem to say on the back, but regardless, I really, really, really enjoyed this one. And would recommend it, actually. So yeah, Assault on Precinct 13. And it's always fun to just see, like, and I'm already going over the 10 minutes, but it's always fun to see films like this where, I say fun, where people are getting shot and there's like actual physical, squibs going off and actual blood. And, I just think that it just makes it so much more, you get into it more, And I love how they're short on ammunition as well. That it's not. It seems like it's a film that's just going to be full of gunfire, and it kind of is. Especially the sequence when the street gang are just shooting down all the windows, but there's not that much because they only have like a very, very scarce amount of ammunition in the police station, and so I think that makes the situation seem more desperate, and you really feel that sense of desperation, I think. So I just think it was really well executed all around. And so that is that for Assault on Precinct 13. I feel like this is his first proper movie. It's like Dark Star was like kind of just a fun little side movie. This is his first movie. Like it felt like a John Carpenter movie. The aesthetic, and I don't even think he has an aesthetic that's like, that comes across in a very overt kind of auteur kind of way, in like, it's like Wes Anderson, like you see a Wes Anderson film, it looks like one, that it's just so, full of its own aesthetic, I suppose. But there's just something about his movies, at least the ones that I really like They Live and Assault on Precinct 13, The Thing. There's this building sense of dread at times, and kind of playing things out slowly in moments, and emphasis on characters. And I don't know, maybe I'm talking bollocks at almost 3 o'clock in the morning.